Hi everyone, I'm going to show you the applique for the Sylveon charms as it's a bit more complex than most appliques. Starting off, I have my base fabric hooped with the charm outlines tacked down. I love doing this because I can easily see my work area where the top layer of fabric needs to go, and it saves a lot of waste fabric because I can cut out these perfectly sized squares for each charm. I'll tack these down and be right back. To trim these, you'll need the smallest, sharpest pair of scissors you have. These are amazing scissors, very precise and sharp. I'm also going to use a stitch ripper to help. I don't normally use it, and we'll come back to that later. The outside trimming is really quick. My tack down stitches for applique are always a bit bigger than the final outline needs to be, so there's no chance of gaps or visible stitching. I just very quickly chop off the excess and block most of the shot with my arm. When it comes to the inside, that's when you need to start going slower. Lift the excess up so the scissors can get in there, and make little snips as close to the edge as possible without cutting the stitches. If you pull too hard, you can run the risk of stretching the stitches and cutting them too, so be firm but not rough. There's so much fluff coming out, keep brushing it away or it's just gonna get in the way. I snipped a little bit into the pile of the pink, but there's no damage done and the satin stitch will hide it later. Now for the bow. It's kind of like a window in the applique, so I was worried it might be a bit difficult, so hence the video. Here's where the stitch ripper comes in. It's going to help take the top layer off. I go in at the centre and poke through the top layer. It's hard to describe, but you should be able to feel that you've only gone through the pink layer of fabric. I slice through the centre line to make an opening. The bows have a bit of embroidery in the centre, so if you clip some of that white pile, it doesn't matter. Once you've got the opening, use the ripper to lift the pink fabric up and start snipping carefully at the edges. I'm trying to reach around my camera stand and also look at the camera and at the applique, so I keep blocking the shots and knocking the camera. It was kind of awkward. It's exactly the same as the other applique trimming, just inside a shape and it needed opening up. The stitch ripper is great at lifting those tiny gaps up, so it's as easy as that. There's no damage to the white insides thanks to the trusty little scissors and the stitch ripper. I was originally going to film this on a smaller hoop and one single Sylveon, but I was running low on coral and couldn't waste hoop space, and 4 shots at getting the best angle is better than 1, so I did the rest on camera too. I trimmed the bows in a couple of different ways too, some without a stitch ripper just to show it's possible. These scissors really are amazing. They were a gift from a friend, so I don't know where they're from, but I do know most small embroidery scissors in craft stores are built for this. Lifting up the fabric and sliding the scissor blades underneath is the best way I've found to get a good close cut. So if you're noticing that your applique is peeking out, practice with the trimming, but having nice thick border stitches helps too. So this time I use the ripper to pull the pink fabric up, and then cut a hole with the scissors. I prefer this way, but I think the first method is probably more safe. I'm cutting vertically alongside the pile of the fabric, so I don't cut any chunks out of the white. It's a really small area, but it's simple once you're in. My last Sylveons had the bows were made as mini patches that I sewed and glued onto the charm, but it was really fiddly to get them secure, and I think this looks nicer. It was my concern with this window applique that I'd botch it up or give the files out and everyone else would struggle, but at the time of filming this I've made about 30, and as I'm writing the script, 60. And no mistakes anywhere, so I do really recommend the small scissors though, they've really helped with the design. On this last bow, I'm actually cutting the pile away from the pink section so that I can see the backing of the fabric. If the fur's getting in your way, this is something you might want to try to make it easier to see where you're making that first cut. Just find the way that's easiest for you and stick with it. Use all the cheats, all the shortcuts, it's fine. Finally, they're all trimmed, they're all brushed off, and ready for the real embroidery. I contemplated just doing a third layer for the bows, but that adds more fabric waste and an extra layer for the needle to work with, and I was just kind of wary of it. I don't think this is the perfect solution, and it won't agree with everyone, but I do prefer it. And that's all for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and bye!